Hey Noble, do you do requests for lore videos? So many I've seen in the forums thinking that the Lich King story ended with that expansion. I think it would be good to do a rundown of what he's been up to in Legion, as well as what he's been up to so far in Battle for Azeroth. Smiley face. Hello everyone. You all remember this moment, right?
Father, is it over?
At long last. No king rules forever, my son.
I see. Only darkness before me.
Without its master's command, the restless scourge will become an even greater threat to this world. Control must be maintained. There must always be a Lich King.
Tyrion Fordring first believes that he will be the one to pick up this burden, but no. His fate will be the torment at the hands of the demons. Instead, it's Bolvar that steps up and he becomes the jailer of the damned. Those of you playing Classic, you might have run into him a few times while visiting the Stormwind throne room. There he is, helping out young Anduin with leading the kingdom while his father is missing. A close confidant to the royal family and a hero to the Alliance. In Northrend, he led our campaign against the Lich King until that tragic day at the Wrath Gates, where Draenor Sourfang was struck down by Frostmourne itself. Bolvar fell to the betrayal of the Forsaken. The dead, the living, all present, they died their horrible deaths. Even the Lich King was forced to retreat, upon which the Red Dragonflight, they purged the lands with their flames, destroying their weapons, using their flames to keep the plague from spreading, and for some reason, also bringing Bolvar back to life. Now I couldn't find if it was intentional or an accident, but considering that there were many more corpses on the field, you'd imagine that this was a targeted resurrection. Either way, the flames brought Bolvar back, right into the hands of the Scourge, who worked very hard trying to twist and turn his mind. To have him, like so many others, serve the Lich King, and when our assault upon Icecrown began, a plan was formed to save the Paladin and fix that friction between the Alliance and the Horde.
You will not be forgotten, brother.
I must be forgotten, Tyrion. If the world is to live free from the tyranny of fear, they must never know what was done here today.
As the armies of the Horde and the Alliance withdrew from Northrend, they scarcely saw the Scourge. Since most believed that the Lich King was no more, it was easy to assume that the undead were no longer a threat. This, of course, was not true. Bolvar was struggling to maintain control over the endless ranks of the undead. The Lich King had directed them to make war upon the living, and it was difficult to quell their aggression. Bolvar fought to maintain his sanity. He'd been a mighty paladin all his adult life, but the moment that he donned the Lich King's helm, the Holy Light had abandoned him. His new necromantic powers, they warred with his senses of justice and righteousness, and it took nearly all of his strength to keep the undead contained. Some pockets of the Scourge have actually managed to break free of his control. Meanwhile, he still struggles hard and does his best to keep the undead from harming the living, while also trying to keep others from misusing the Scourge's power. And as for secrets, well, it turns out that Tyrion, he isn't the best at keeping those. A lot of people know. We're not exactly sure who does at this point, but it's not hard to imagine that the heroes who joined us into Icecrown, that they were later informed by Tyrion. In the Shattering, we also read about this. Varian and Jaina, they're well aware of the fate of Bolvar, whereas Anduin, he only knows of his demise, but not his ultimate fate. Varian hopes that he will never find out, but with the crown passing on to Anduin, he's grown up quite a bit, and he's well aware of who sits on the frozen throne. Then, the short story Edge of Night. It talks about Sylvanas making her own way to the top of Icecrown, and Icecrown is an anchor that holds this world to the next, according to Bonsumdi anyways, and where she found this new figure sitting on the throne. Safe to say that it wasn't as big of a secret as Bolvar wanted it to be. And while he was chilling and keeping the Scourge under control, time didn't stand still for the world of Azeroth. A massive cataclysm, it rocked the world. A land hidden by mist, it was revealed. The dark portal reopened to an alternate Draenor, and that's where we really started to hear about the Lich King once again. Darian Mograine, he came with us through the portal, in search of information. Though the Lich King has been defeated, we're no closer to unlocking the secrets of the Frozen Throne than we were when jousting pointlessly at the Argent tournaments. Bolvar remains resigned to his fate. Perhaps there is something here though that can aid us. Ner'zhul, he was not always the Lich King. Once he was a mere orc dabbling in dark powers beyond his comprehension. We're asked to find whatever we can of his early studies, and we may find some answers. The whole Ner'zhul bit, that's referring to the origin of the Lich King. The orc Ner'zhul, he was twisted and turned by Kil'jaeden, and then sent back to Azeroth to weaken it and make it ready for another invasion. Of course, Ner'zhul wasn't too happy with his fate. He actively worked against the Legion, plotting and scheming until the invasion failed and he merged with Arthas. The research is brought back to Darien and then nothing else major happens with it, but there was this odd Pandaren Death Knight that showed up as a garrison follower, but this could have also been a traveling one, unfortunate enough to run into some of the Scourge forces while Arthas was still the Lich King. Nothing major with Bolvar, until Warlords finished and our adventures it flowed into the Expansion Legion. A fitting name for one of the greatest invasions by the Legion that Azeroth has ever seen. The Horde and the Alliance severely get their asses kicked on the Broken Shore, meaning that the heroes amongst them had to rise up and lead their own order halls. The Death Knights, they got the very edgy title of Death Lords and an unexpected ally to help them in this war.
Make no mistake, we are not bound to this new Lich King. However, he may prove a valuable ally against the Legion.
Despite the Death Knights of the Ebonblade first stepping away from Arthas the Lich King and carving out their own path, with this new threat on the horizon, they decide to once again team up with Lich King. They team up with Bolvar. Considering the Lich King's origin, forced and forged by the Legion, he calls them fools for coming back. They only walk back within reach of our blades.
Go. Ensure that not a single demon escapes my wrath. Crush all who stand in your way.
Together, we go out and claim powerful artifacts in the form of Maw of the Damned, Apocalypse, and the Blades of the Fallen Prince. Together, we build up our forces and take the battle to the Legion. Now we are the ones giving the gift of undeath to others. We're making new Death Knights to send them out on follower missions, as well as our other major objective, creating 4 new horsemen. Those are the party Funax and Hamas. You've encountered these horsemen before. Darien's father was actually part of them, before being replaced by Baron Rivendare. They're powerful units amongst the Scourge army, and the 4 horsemen, they're no ordinary Death Knights. They're born of pure undead power, gifted from the Lich King to Kel'Thuzad. The unholy power to raise the dead is now been passed on to us, and with it, we recruit Nazgrim, fallen general of the Hordes, Forrest Strobane, fallen king of Stromgarde, Sally Whitemane, fallen High Inquisitor of the Scarlet Crusade, and to lead the entire pack, they attempt to resurrect none other than Tyrion Fordring. You have to wonder how someone like Bolvar Fordragon could do such an act against his former brother. Perhaps the Lich King has more of a hold of him than we know, or perhaps this was part of a master plan all along. You see, as our knights try to assault Light's Hope Chapel, they quickly find out that it's not just guarded by troops. The Light itself does not take kindly to the undead walking these holy grounds, the very thing that caused Arthas to lose his Knights of the Ebonblade to begin with. The Lich King is well aware of what lies beneath the chapel, and again their assault ends in failure. Or does it?
Darien Mograine has sacrificed more for the Ebonblade than any other. His body lays before you, broken, scarred. But death is for the living. It has no power over the damned. Your 4th horseman lays before you, Death Lord. Command him to rise.
Would Darien have ever accepted his position of one of the 4 horsemen, like his father in the past, if this didn't play out exactly the way it did? I see now what I did not see before. My destiny was written long ago. This burden has always been mine to bear. The time has come to take my position as the leader of the 4 horsemen. All the same, regardless of some kind of master plan, with Darien leading the charge, our 4 horsemen, they still needed the horses to ride on. Getting this done was a job for our followers that we send out on missions. The ritual, our preparations, it required them to go into the Shadowlands and gather 5 unholy essences, known as the Aggregates of Anguish. We had Grand Apothecary Putris, Grand Empress Shegzir, Dalen Proudmoore, Archmage Arugal, and Soulbinder Niami. All of them had a little visit from our troops. After that came collecting saddles and the Maul of the Dead. This was in the possession of Helya within Helheim. It's infused with the souls of countless fallen warriors. We gathered it to forge a barding so impenetrable that no demon shall ever break it. And no demon did. Our efforts with the Order Hall, they were ultimately successful in not only defeating the Legion on our little planet, we even ventured to Arx itself and imprisoned Sargeras. Sadly, there was no real resolution to the story of the Order Halls. They were just abandoned to go fighting one another again. And it is safe to say that the Lich King, he pretty much had us build him a personal private army. Have forces willing to work together with him again and place the curse of undeath upon others. You might believe Darien and think that they're not bound to this new Lich King. However, the spirit of Arthas, it thinks otherwise.
You believe that you are in control, that your will is your own. Yet you do as he commands. You exist by his whim alone. You imagine yourself to be free, but you will always be his instrument.
To which we arrive in the current expansion, and the Death Knights, they get a cold reminder of their actions and decisions that they made while fighting the Legion. To obtain their new class mount, the Lich King ordered them into the Ruby Sanctum, where they were given a choice. They could either spare as many of the Red Dragons as they could, and just get what they came for, or they could wipe out as many of them as they can, earning the secret achievement called Unholy Determination. In Drasvar, they get to party with a red dragon named Zelestraza, who remembers clearly what they have done. Monsters in Arthas' own image. When final death comes for you, I hope that you will go slowly, tortured by the pain and suffering that you've inflicted on others. I am sure that you told yourself that it was for the greater good. But mark my words, Death Lords, there will be consequences. All the same, we can still help her out with stopping the Death Knight, Danir Emberlight, from resurrecting another dragon. Stopping them from the very thing that we did during Legion. And afterwards, we still have the choice to show how much of a Death Lord we are, that we have no regrets, that we're empty inside, by trying to attack Zelestraza. This doesn't end too well though, but still a nice reminder that our actions, they have consequences for the story. Another, much larger thing for Bolvar, that would be the bombshell for his backstory. Turns out that he actually has a daughter, Talia Fordragon. She lost her mother when the Scourge hit Lordaeron. Her father then sent her to be raised away from the war, and she doesn't know much about him. Just that he was a Stormwind Knight who gave his life fighting the Lich King. Raised by Cyrus, she is now quite the badass and helps the Alliance a lot with reuniting Kaltiris. She even gets to meet King Anduin Rin, who remembers her.
Ask no
King
favor.
Rin, there is someone you should meet. Along with your champion, she was instrumental in saving our kingdom. And my life.
It is an honor to meet you, King Rin. I am Talia. Talia Fordragon.
Fordragon?
Daughter of Bolvar. Fostered under our protection since the Third War.
Talia, please rise. The honor is mine.
Did you know my father?
High Lord Bolvar was a great man, a true hero to the Alliance, and to me. I remember now. He used to write you letters. He had a nickname for you.
My shining star. The letters stopped coming. I have so many questions.
Talia, when time permits, you must come to Stormwind as my guest. I have many stories to share about your father.
Seems like time has revealed the truth to Anduin, and he too knows what happened to Bolvar. And that's pretty much what Bolvar's been up to so far, but there are some juicy hints on what the future might bring. This, however, is going to go into spoiler territory, so if you don't want any spoilers for patch 8.3 and beyond, then thank you very much for watching so far, and please turn off the video right now. A whole lot of data mining has been done, and one thing that stands out are the Death Knight models for the allied races, and a little encrypted dialogue between Bolvar the Lich King and Darien Mograine. Not only cool to see that the Knights of the Ebonblade are still in touch with the Jailer of the Damned, there might be a revamp of the Death Knight starting experience, and more races allowed to become this hero class. Then the invitation for Talia to come to Stormwind as Anduin's guest. It seems that the Boy King, he's had a bit of a change of heart. She's still very curious to learn more about her father, personally writes Jaina to make this happen, but Anduin says that it isn't a good time for visitors. Apparently, Tyrion Fordring himself made him swear that they would keep secrets of Bolvar's fate. She made that vow as much as he did, and Bolvar was a noble man. To know that he sits frozen upon the cursed throne, devoting his very life to keeping the monsters at bay, it breaks the king's heart, and he can't bear to see it break Talias's too. The decision is yours, Anduin, but if she learns that the truth was kept from her, it will hurt her all the more. One way that this could play out would be a connection to the Whispers of Il'gynoth. Lying to Talia, withholding the truth about Bolvar. It might actually push her on a path, in the arms of someone that is willing to tell her what's going on, which in turn could lead to some awesome events. But that's just pure speculation, of course. All we know is that Anduin doesn't want to hurt Talia further, and he's pondering what to do. To be honest about it, or leave her in the dark. And finally, you might have been wondering, okay, it's very nice to know what Bolvar's been up to, but why should we care? Well, it seems that he will have his part to play in the next expansion. As you probably know, Battle for Azeroth has a big separate storyline going on, which deals a whole lot with the afterlife. Vol'jin appointed Sylvanas as war chief, because, as we thought at first, the Loa, they whispered him a name. Turns out that this wasn't the Loa at all. It was an unknown source that's been playing around behind the scenes. And then another different source that brought him back, touched by valor, more than he once was, and he's looking for answers as to what is going on. This takes us into conversations with beings like Bonsandi, the Loa of Death, who early on let slide that he has a boss. A conversation with Eir, who was nearly enslaved by Sylvanas during Legion, and a little trip to Icecrown Citadel, where we talk with the Lich King.
Lich King, the voice I heard as I be dying, telling me to name Sylvanas war chief. Was it yours? The Banshee Queen's schemes threaten the balance. I had no hand in them. And me spirit being trapped in this world. Is that your doing? Vol'jin, your soul has walked on the other side and returned. You have been altered more than you know. You are neither undead nor damned. You do not belong here. Leave this place at once.
I do not like the look of this. I suggest we go, quickly.
Leave now, or stay forever. The choice is yours.
Vol'jin the Shadowhunter then goes on to hunt the Shadowlands in an attempt to find more answers, and that's where it's been left for now. So apparently there's this balance between life and death that the Banshee Queen threatens. None of the rulers of Undeath that we talk to seem particularly interested in what she's doing. Talanji was even offered a deal by Bonsandi to bring him the war chief's head. In exchange, the bargain that her father made with the Loa, that would be ended. Now you could say that this might have just been a test to see if she was worthy. Either way, the offer was made. Then the Tarn Heritage Armor questline, it shows that the spirit world is a little bit in uproar, a little bit out of balance. Helya has seemingly made a return, as told in one of the Island Expedition quests. All in all, there's just a whole lot of stuff with the afterlife that's going on in Battle for Azeroth. And the star of that story, that seems to be Sylvanas Windrunner, with her goal of conquering death. Unless more details are added, that seems to be her motivation, staying alive. When she decided to kill herself after claiming vengeance upon Arthas, she ended up in this realm of eternal torment. She would still be there, was it not for the 9 Valkyr who offered her a deal. They would be free from Bolvar's control. They would come with her, resurrect more Forsaken to add to the numbers, and even take her place in Hell in case she died. Quite a few have been lost along the way, the latest during the battle at Darkshore, meaning that at this point in time, she has 3 Valkyr left. That doesn't necessarily translate into 3 bonus lives though, as when she died to Godfrey, several Valkyr were required to bring her back from Hell. Her time seems to be running out. Her safety net is growing smaller and smaller, and she apparently feels confident enough in her ultimate plans to leave the Horde behind. In the end, they'll all serve death. They'll all serve her and her plans. Now, of course, this is all pure speculation, but from 8.3, we get these snippets of dialogue. First, there's the one between Sylvanas and Azshara, in which they're talking about the bargain.
We have a bargain, then. I will bring both fleets crashing to the ocean floor, and your champion will deliver the dagger to me.
And in turn, you will have the key required to free the old god from his bonds, and leave him vulnerable.
You wound me, War Chief. After all, I am as dedicated to my master as you are to your subjects.
Indeed. Just to be certain that once you have what you need, you dispose of your guests. Let none of the heroes escape.
I admire your ruthlessness, Windrunner. It seems our interests are aligned. At present.
At present.
Treacherous Banshee. Do you think I am blind to the darkness you seek to unleash?
Zalatov brought to Ajara by Naphanos with the intent of using it against the old god. Sylvanas did not want us to make it out of Nashatar alive, but we did. And then the part about being blind and the darkness that Sylvanas seeks to unleash, that might also be referenced by the new whispers of Il'gynoth.
Before the last shadow falls, the Father of Sleep shall savor his feast. When their mistress beckons, 9 ravens take flight. Each seeks a prize to earn her favor. The blind queen wields a scepter of bone. From the deep, she calls forth doom. The cunning ones kneel before 6 masters, but serve only one.
Now, keyword might, of course. This is all speculation. The Father of Sleep that had me thinking of N'Zoth at first. But Twitch chats, you quickly pointed out that Muzala actually has the title as one of his descriptions. Another would be the God of Death. And those that have read Traveler, you know all about Muzala. And if you're the Banshee Queen, you're thinking about conquering death. You might want to try and conquer such a being as Muzala. You might want to try and conquer this God of Death. But perhaps she's a blind queen, calling forth only doom. Her more recent plans, they haven't exactly worked out. As Saurfang reminded everybody, Sylvanas most of all, she will do anything that it takes to survive, to stay out of hell. Perhaps in her fanatic quest, she'll make the mistake of pushing it too far, bringing forth something that completely unbalances the scale between life and death, opening up the door for future storytelling. Then the 9 ravens, I'd connect this to the 9 Valkyr, with their mistress being Helya. Imagine a scenario in which all of the 9 of the Valkyr, they end up in hell for Sylvanas. If anyone would have the power to get them out of there, it would be Helya, Queen of Helheim. Hell, they could even build further upon that bargain that was struck during Legion. We know that Sylvanas got this beautiful lantern that she then tried to use on Aegir to enslave her, to have the power to create more Valkyr for herself. But what was it that Helya wanted? The last line, that might refer to the 6 cosmic forces that we know of in Warcraft. In the end, they'll all serve one. All paths leading to death. In the end, they will all serve death. That's a personal hope of mine. That they're going to open up more future storytelling by replacing the pillars of old, right? The old gods, titans, and the burning legion. That those 3 pillars are going to be replaced with these cosmic forces. Whole new big threats and stories behind them. New beings with their own motivations and plans. It would open up a whole realm of possibility for future storytelling. Thankfully, BlizzCon isn't that far off. We'll hopefully know more soon. Now, I got a little bit off topic when it comes to Bolvar, but all we can really say for certain at this point in time is that we have some data mine dialogue, potential allied race, Death Knight models, and a whole bunch of story that's connected to undeath. There's his daughter Talia trying to find answers as to what happened to her father. Time will tell what Bolvar's role is going to be, and if by that time that he actually makes a return, if there's still going to be something left of Bolvar in there. There seems to be a distinction between the being that is the Lich King and the person that puts on the helmet. Bolvar, he's been spending a whole lot of time keeping the Scourge under control. Will he have the resilience to hang on to that duty? Or will the entity of the Lich King eventually take him over? We have talked to him. We've ventured into Icecrown a couple of times now, and we live to tell the tale, but he's not exactly friendly either. Leave now, or you can stay forever. Ghouls spawning around us, and we're actually the lucky ones. Lyanna Sunstrider, she once went into Icecrown in search of the legendary Felamalorn, only to be rewarded with a life as an undead. Mage heroes thankfully fared better, but it is safe to say that the good guy Bolvar that he was in life, he's not completely there anymore. And say that he does disappear, that the Lich King completely takes over. Will those forces that we created with the Death Knights in the Order Hall, will they be turned against us? Will Kel'Thuzad make a return to serve his beloved Lich King? Will the story between Talia and Anduin lead to the daughter finding her own answers, her own path to the Citadel? There's a lot to work with here, and I can't wait to see it unfold. For those of you that have asked me about Sylvanas potentially becoming the Lich Queen, my answer to what she's going to do in the future, it remains the same as it was 5 years ago.
She has no intention of ever going back to hell, and she will do anything in her powers to make sure to stay alive. If you ever wonder, like, what might they do with the story, what Sylvanas might do, like becoming the Lich Queen, or finding Frostmourne, or whatever I've been suggested over the years, just ask yourself the simple question, will it help her stay alive? If yes, then she will definitely do it. If not, then she will try to find a way to bend the situation to her advantage. She will try to avoid the situation. All in all, Sylvanas wants to live, and she will do anything and everything to make sure she stays alive.
And now you're up to speed with what Bolvar's been up to and what the future story might bring. By all means, let me know in the comments down below what you would like to happen. The future, it's still unwritten, and the paths that they can take are many. For now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos. Leave a like if you enjoyed this one. And until next time, see ya!